See, you can only love out of strength. It takes strength to love. You got to speak with purpose. We think that our salvation is based on performance. God is not a man that he can lie. He don't lie. You be a vessel that God can work. Because somebody might need your holy prayer to save them one day.
Hi, this is Dr. Will Wheat, and today we want to talk about projection again. I spoke about projection before, and I'd like to just do a recap because I'm going to add extension versus projection in this and the following videos. Not in this video. Today we're going to talk about projection, but in the next video is going to be projection versus extension and what the differences are between projection and extension. Now, I was reading in the book, and I read this an account about a scene that took place in a movie theater years and years ago when the movies didn't have no sound, there was just pictures, and how someone who never saw a movie or a moving video before actually reacted to that video and literally started shooting at the screen, because these were cowboys looking at Indians or an attack on the movie screen, and they thought that this was real, and they drew their weapon, one of the cowboys did, and began to shoot at the sheet on the screen. So using that scenario, we want to talk about projection, because when you talk about projection, it puts your mind on movies and theater, because that's what's happening inside of us. Actually, our brain and our mind are our projectors. And so the things that we see are things that we project out from within ourselves. And everything comes from our brain. So if our brain is not healthy, we're going to have unhealthy pictures and unhealthy conclusions, and we're going to project that unhealthiness from ourselves onto people, onto things, and onto circumstances. So I just want to use this thought. Listen to this little narrative here that I've written down. Your thoughts are the film, your mind is the projector, and the screen is the world. You never find peace by blaming external people and events for your misery, or by giving them credit for your salvation. And what the human element and the human pattern is to blame someone outside of themselves for their misery. They never look within themselves and see that they're projecting the misery onto others, and or the expectation for disappointment or for failure out into the world, out into the universe. And so that's played back for them based on their expectation. The same thing is true with their salvation. It's inside of them, and they're always looking for something and someone to come rescue them. You are doing it all to and for yourself. Projection always sees your wishes in others or in other things. Projection makes perception, and you cannot see beyond your perception. See, projection makes perception, and you cannot see beyond your perception. So we want to give you a story of a little duck that's sitting near the road, and people are on their way into a diner for breakfast early in the morning. And we're going to call this duck Sam. And as people come, they know the duck because he's always sitting by the road, and he always does his thing. Every time he sees someone, he quacks at them. So we're going to have 3 different types of people come by Sam, and he's going to quack, and then they're going to speak to him about what's inside of them. So they're going to give a projection of what his quacking is all about. So I want you to pay attention to this. The first was a professional singer that passed by Sam that morning. Upon hearing him, she stopped and she told him, "How nice of you to sing me a morning song." The next person that passed by was a woman who was rather overweight. When she heard Sam quack in her direction, she scolded him, "You're always quacking for more food. It's time, Sam, for you to stick to your diet." The final person to pass was a very intellectual architect. Hearing Sam's voice, he retorted, "Questions." Sam always questions. How about some answers for a change? Now you see these three people in three different phases of life, and they have different expectations and thoughts about themselves, but each and every one of their thoughts is projected on Sam the duck. The singer thanks him for singing a beautiful song. The person who's slightly overweight and sees themselves slightly overweight, who sees themselves overeating, is saying, when they hear Sam quacking, says, "You're always asking for food. You should stick to your diet." The intellectual who's always asking questions, when he hears Sam quack, he says, Sam questions, nothing more than questions. Do you ever come up with some answers? Some of us are feeling that same way. Some of us are feeling that we don't understand, that we need more answers. Some of us only have questions because we don't trust in the gift that God has given us, which is the mind of Christ. We don't understand that Christ is not a separate person from us, that Christ is our consciousness, and he surrounds us and enfolds us in himself and in his love. We are surrounded and enfolded by Christ. His mind is ours, and his thoughts are ours, and we can order our thoughts in line with his. We have questions, we also have answers, we have insight because we have the mind of Christ. But if we don't see that about ourselves, if we don't believe that about ourselves, if we think that Christ is some entity outside of us, we will never enjoy the fellowship of having him with us. So we want to encourage you to not project. Let's start entertaining thoughts. Paul talks about thinking on things that are virtuous, thinking on things that are lovely, thinking on things that are praiseworthy. This is a way of washing your mind, a way of washing your thoughts, and ordering and disciplining how you think. Paul also writes about any thought that will exalt itself against Christ, to take that thought into captivity, to cast it down. Don't let that thought just run amok. Capture that doggone thing, cast it down, and replace it with a thought that is more true to who you are and to your true identity. Well, we're going to stop here, but I want to remind you that God has plans for your life, and none of those plans include defeat.
People of Greater Los Angeles, Apostle Will Wheat has a word from God that is revealing, powerful, and life-changing. Every Sunday, lives are being transformed by this powerful word from God. Families, businesses, church leaders, and the world are hearing God's plans for their lives. And none of those plans include defeat. It has been said that there have been Jesus sightings in his services. So you owe it to yourself to be a part of one of the greatest movements and Jesus sightings that this city has ever experienced. And you can download Apostle Wheat's Sunday messages for free at nccfc.net. nccfc.net. Sunday services are at 1 p.m. and midweek services are Wednesdays at 7 p.m. There is faith for your destiny at nccfc.net.